Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm Tracy Klein, and I'm the head of merchandising here at Bluemercury. I'm so excited to welcome everyone to this pre Mother's Day masterclass. So, we'll be talking about the pregnancy journey, the postpartum period, and just really about motherhood in general, with four very impressive founders, all of whom represent brands that are currently launching at Bluemercury in our new intimate care and feminine care categories. We're so thrilled to be part of normalizing the conversations around intimate and feminine care. I'm so passionate about it, and we at Bluemercury are. Especially in today's world, it's about communication and it's really about supporting each other. I'm so honored to be with these women today who really started these brands out of their own personal journey, as you'll hear in a moment. Before I get to introductions, just one housekeeping. We'll be running a raffle for those who are in attendance with products from the brands that we'll be talking about today. So the products include Dr. Janine Mann's Stress Relief Supplement, Glissant Sea Salt and Caramel Intimate Lubricant, Hatch Mama's Baby Oil, and the Tizan from Ebi. So let's meet the founders. Dr. Karyn Eilber, who's a urologist who practices at Cedar Sinai and specializes in female pelvic medicine and reconstructive surgery. Her years of treating women's pelvic floor issues, including sexual health, resulting in her realizing that clean quality products for down there were really lacking. Together with her co founder, Renee Garaccia, they created Glissant Intimate Lubricants. Thank you, Karyn, for being here. Hatch, Ariane Goldman, founder and CEO of Hatch. In 2010, when Ariane was newly pregnant with her first daughter, she grew frustrated by the lack of stylish wardrobe options for expecting women. She created Hatch to fill a void in the market for chic, timeless pieces that women could invest in during pregnancy and continue to wear afterwards. A few years later, it was clear to Ariane that the next void in the market she might tackle was in beauty, and we're so happy about that. In 2018, she launched Hatch Mama to help solve common pre and postnatal issues with ultra clean, mama safe formulas that actually work and are luxe enough to fit into their existing beauty routines. Bree Robbins, founder of Ebi. Bree previously worked in public health and integrative medicine, but founded Ebi when she realized after the birth of her own child that there wasn't a company dedicated solely to new mothers. Ebi serves the unique needs of the postpartum period by acknowledging the beauty and strength inherent in finding a balance in caring for yourself and others. And last but not least, Dr. Janine Mann. When Janine Mann was faced with her own breast health crisis, she found a lack of effective, non invasive options in the market. And so she set out to develop her own solution. Regenerating breast oil. As a doctor of Chinese medicine, she then offered the formula to women in her medical clinic with great success. Dr. Janine's formulas empower women to find beauty and value in their own bodies from adolescence through menopause. Ladies, thank you so much for being here. We're so excited. We have a number of questions, and then we'll leave probably about 10 or 15 minutes at the end here just to make sure we get to some of the questions from our audience. So I'm going to start with we have a question for everyone, but I'll start with Dr. Janine. So, what was the unmet need that you saw in the market, and how did you meet it with your line?
Well, I started the Rejuvenating Breast Oil from because of my own issue, but then treating patients in my clinic, I had one woman come in who had been in an accident and her breast implant calcified and had a lot of pain. She wasn't able to lay on her side, have intimate touch with her partner. And so there was this great gap. There was nothing. I thought of, other Chinese herbs that could help, but I offered the breast oil to share it with her. And she had had 8 years of pain. And I guess surgeons had said you can go back in and have another surgery, but that would create more scar tissue, and we don't really know what the outcome. So I gave her the oil and she came back in 30 days and said, it's gone. You know, can I have some? I want to share it with my girlfriends. And at that point, you know, I never thought of making, I always made my own products for myself, but I never thought of sharing them. And so that was this huge journey now of how do you put it in a bottle and what do you put on a label? And so that it really kind of, I guess the market found me, you know, in a way, and through my client, my patients.
Right. Great. Thank you, Janine.
Yeah.
Ariane, could you answer the same question?
Yeah, I mean, similarly, I built the brand based on personal needs when I was pregnant, and I felt super lonely and confused, but really excited and ready to embrace this next chapter. And I was, you know, I was excited to see what I was about to embark on and learn from brands and people ahead of me to teach me, you know, online and figure it out. And I was just shocked that there was nothing out there. And so I figured if I felt the need to connect and to learn more, that millions of other women must feel the same thing. And so I started off with key pieces from a clothing perspective that I thought would get women through the day and get them, you know, feeling good. You don't have to be ostracized when you're pregnant, right? We're women, you know, we're alive, we're badass, we're amazing, we're carrying babies in our bellies, right? We should celebrate this time and invest in ourselves and feel beautiful while doing it. And so I started the line that way. And then in really working with my community of women and hearing what they were looking for, it seemed like all these beauty recommendations were really, whether it was your best friend giving you a recommendation or a blog, it was scattered information. And I figured, well, if I'm building credibility with these women, why not really understand what women are looking for, what the elements are, and figure out a way responsibly and cleanly to kind of give them solutions in the beauty category as well. So Hatch Mama, we created 2 years ago, and it's been really incredible. It's just a whole new lens into providing women with solutions at a time where I think we're all here because nobody's really having the conversation, and we're so grateful that Bluemercury is actually surfacing it.
Great, thank you. Bre, would love to hear from you. Same question.
Yeah, I just, you know, I had a very well supported birth after Phyllis was born, but what really spawned Ebi was just like there was no one around me telling me to make sure to take care of me. And I talked to lots of women, and my, you know, my prenatal acupuncturist is one woman that I spoke to extensively about it, and she was like, you know, if someone had handed me Ebi when I had my baby, it would have just communicated that to me. Like, I also need to like put myself first sometimes and like find balance. And so that was really what it was about, making it accessible, straightforward. And also kind of Ariane spoke to this a little bit, but making it feel like luxe. This is like one of the most important times in a woman's life. And you should feel, I mean, you are like bringing life into the world. So you should feel like at your most divine, at your most sexy, at your most beautiful. And so I wanted to create a brand that really like spoke to that. And it's, you know, Ebi is grounded in humanity, but it also feels very, very special. And, you know, another woman I was talking with said, yeah, like when, instead of having the experience of like walking into like a health food store and like, you know, searching the bottom shelf, it should feel like you're like anointing yourself. So when you're using the oil, you know, you're blessing yourself and through the experience of going through postpartum and beyond. So that's kind of like the world that I wanted to create with Ebi.
I love that. Thank you, Bree. Dr. Karyn, would love to hear from you on the same question. Oh, you're on mute.
I had a little bit of experience like Dr. Janine, and that there was definitely a need that I heard from my patients literally almost on a daily basis. So because I do a lot of pelvic reconstructive surgery, I do need to know like a woman's sexual function, you know, and how to maintain that. And so a lot of times when I would ask, are you sexually active? She would say no. And it's because, you know, I'm dry. Can you recommend a lubricant? And at that time, I really didn't know much about them. And you start looking at the ingredient deck, and there are all the things that we don't want in any of our beauty products, and yet we're putting them inside our most intimate parts. So in addition to just wanting something clean and natural for the product, the other thing is, what do you carry around that's not embarrassing? You know, and so you don't really want to carry around this tube like you were saying, Bree, like you want to anoint yourself. Like, Don't you want to have something beautiful to put down there that you can keep on your nightstand and not be embarrassed? So it came out of really kind of a medical need, but then also just to make things also beautiful for the products down there. And, I was talking earlier, pregnancy and delivery are totally beautiful, but yet we don't really talk about what happens afterwards and how do we maintain our sexuality, when it comes to certain things. Our hormones are changing and we're exhausted. So it's great that all these products are here that help to promote you wanting to be the woman that you would like to be.
Thanks, Karyn. Yeah, and I think one of my favorite things about all 4 brands is really it came from your own personal journey. I mean, there's something really special about that. I think, all 4 of you, no one set out to necessarily, create these products out of nowhere. And it came from a personal need. And at Bluemercury, we really celebrate the founders and that story, and it resonates. There's nothing like hearing it from someone's own personal journey. So thank you all for sharing that. My next question's for Ariane. Many of Hatch Mama's products, as we just talked about, are really focused on really common issues that for some reason they don't, there aren't a lot of solutions widely available. One of them being, ankle swelling that can develop later in pregnancy. Hatch Mama created Down Girl. Why do you think that this market has typically been so underserved?
I think the celebration of a woman's body has come a really long way in the last couple of years, but it's taken a while. And even just the belly itself, to celebrate the belly. I mean, as social media was starting 10 years ago when I started the company, it was a lot of the trades wouldn't cover maternity, a lot of the fashion trades, because a growing body and celebrating a change in body was not something that they wanted to talk about. And it was really disappointing. And it was only when editors of magazines were starting to take selfies and celebrate how cute they looked with their bump that people started to have kind of a little bit of a shift, and they started to think about, well, it is cool to have a bump. It's cool that your body is growing. And the reason I'm starting there is because I think swollen ankles, right? This is something that typically we're embarrassed about, right? Chapped nipples. These are all things that are kind of hush hush, but it's because nobody really talks about them. And once you start talking about them, you realize that everybody in the room kind of is going through the same thing, and you feel so much better. So it's really about conversation and allowing it to feel okay and normal. And that's what, Hatch is about. I think all of our brands are about, it being okay to have these issues, because most of us have them, right? We just haven't been able to express ourselves and have a forum to talk about it and have the conversation. So really, Hatch Mama was created to say, hey, I got you. Your ankles are going to swell. It's not you, it's pregnancy. It's all good. Let's help. Right. And so most of our products are really solution based to, solutions to problems that women and ailments, and just ways to make you feel better in a luxurious way while feeding your body and making sure that the ingredients are great. But I just think it's, we finally have a forum that we can produce, not only the conversation, but we can produce product that addresses things that are real and that we don't have to hide them so much anymore.
Thank you. Dr. Karyn, so another under-discussed but very common phenomenon is the difficulty many women have in resuming their sex life after birth and while breastfeeding. So, obviously we know some women experience physical pain, others are just completely lacking interest. What insights do you as a medical doctor bring to this topic? And would love to hear about the solutions within your line that address this.
So a shocking and disappointing statistic is 60% of postpartum women will have pain with intercourse in the first 6 months after delivery. So unless you want to keep putting up with having pain with intercourse, you got to start using something like a lubricant. That your hormones will eventually go back, but breastfeeding, which of course is what all of us enjoy doing with our kids, it propagates the problem. So we've got all these low hormones, we're exhausted, right? So the last thing you're feeling like is having sex. And then when you do, if it hurts, well, gee, I lost any minute little bit of motivation to ever do it again. So, and it's just like you were saying earlier, we feel so alone. We feel like we're the only ones, no one's talking about it. So at least if you say, hey, I know this is going to happen, I'm going to get the products I need ahead of time so that when I do embark on being sexually active, I'm not going to feel dry and it's not going to hurt. And that way I can go on. And I also know that this is going to get better as time goes on. But, you know, if it's one piece of advice, what I tell patients all the time is if something doesn't feel good, right, and then you don't do it, it's like yoga. If you're always stretching on a regular basis, it feels good. But if you don't go to yoga class for 6 months, you know it's not going to feel good. And yet we totally disconnect like everything down there from the rest of what we know about our bodies. So then if you aren't sexually active for a while because you've had the baby and then it hurts, you think there's something wrong with you. And yet if you think about it, okay, I need to do it again. But in order to do so, you do need something to help it not hurt as much. And so that's why, like in our product specifically, I mean, you can use just about anything for a lubricant, just like you can use anything for a shampoo, right? But you want to have the right ingredients that make things work. And so we have things like L-arginine and increased blood flow to help with a woman's own natural lubrication, right? We're not trying to replace everything. We're trying to enhance her own function so that she can feel normal again.
Thank you so much, Karyn. Dr. Janine, you are a doctor of Chinese medicine, and your line includes formulas aimed at low libido, but also breast health, cramps and stress, among others. How does the traditional Chinese approach differ from that of Western medicine?
I think from my perspective and what I've graciously had my teachers share with me, and I'm really grateful for those experiences, is the idea that we're looking at the whole person, you know, where they are in their life, who, you know, physically, where are they living, even where were they born, what are they eating, and because the whole body, we're looking at the whole person. And my formula specifically will go in and rebuild areas that are deficient. And so if we can create a system that is more whole, that honors the whole person, then we become more in alignment with nature. And I think that's the goal just in our daily life. You know, we sleep when we need to sleep. We feel rested when we wake up. Our bodies are in their natural rhythm. And that's kind of the main difference that I'd want to share with you for Chinese medicine.
Thank you. Brielle, your plant-based line also draws from global traditions around birth and early motherhood. The brand's name is taken from the Yoruba word for family, and the tisane was inspired by traditional herbal drinks served now to new mothers in many cultures. Can you speak a bit more about these traditions and your experience with them and why you wanted to incorporate them into your products?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you know, postpartum is just an innately human experience. And I wanted to kind of, I wanted my brand to feel like rooted in our common humanity. And so, yeah, I drew from these postpartum traditions because though postpartum care and postpartum support isn't something that is an everyday part of, you know, our vocabulary in American society today, this is something that women have been doing for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And, you know, one of our ancestors probably practiced one of these or incorporated one of these practices in their postpartum experience. So yeah, there's warming herbal drinks in Haiti. You also see that in many Asian cultures. The oil was inspired by Abhyanga, which is the Ayurvedic practice of warming massage. So we included sesame oil to bring back heat to the body because in Ayurveda, birth is seen as like a cooling experience because you're losing lots of blood. For the bath, you know, there's warming herbal baths in Nigeria, where my ancestors are from, but also and China and Jamaica, you know, many different cultures. And so I wanted to draw on these traditional practices, but also, you know, make them feel right for today. Yeah.
How would you think new mothers who use them, like how will they benefit the most, especially from the tisane tea?
So because, birth is a traumatic experience, whether you have a smooth birth, a standard C-section, it's traumatic to your body to do that. It's traumatic for the baby. And so you need to pour into yourself and nurture yourself and replenish yourself after birth. So from a nutrition standpoint, from a rest standpoint, the postpartum period is something that we all need to do better at honoring and respecting. For a long time, I think the kind of overarching idea was like, just like snap back to it, get back to work, get back to your life. But, it's not about getting back to your life. It's about getting to know your new body, stepping into this new role, stepping into this new life, and, preparing yourself for that, taking the time to heal. So the tisane is full of nutritious herbs like nettles. There's some chamomile in there that helps with emotional balance and healthy sleep. There's rose hips that are high in vitamin C to help with healing. And so all of our products are focused on, helping you to really honor that period of rest, reacquaint yourself with your new body, and really pour into yourself as you move through postpartum and beyond, because it's not something that you can just kind of like skip over. Postnatal depletion, diastasis recti, these are all things that can happen to lots of women after they have birth. It's vital that you take this time to pour into yourself, because that depleted feeling, it's not going to disappear. It'll stay with you and follow you. So it's imperative that you take the time to pour into yourself during this period. And that's what products like the tisane were created to do.
Well said. I remember I have two sons. Sorry, the light in my office just completely went out and now I'm in the dark. So I'm trying to figure out how to put it on. But anyway, oh, there we go. Okay. Well, I wore blue today in anticipation for Mother's Day, 2 boys. But I remember, and it's not even that long ago, just 10 years ago. I remember and people still have it today, just the pressure of even breastfeeding, that you have to do it. And if you have problems, that there's something wrong. And so I just love hearing from each of you and your experience, and also how to address that. If you are having issues, some of these things can really partner with the stress of your body to help them easier. But also, let's talk about how it's okay if you don't want to breastfeed, or if that's not something that's coming easily from you. And so just, would love to continue to, as we're asking these questions, to continue the talk, especially all of the people, all of our participants. I'm guessing a majority are, about to have a baby, have children, that we just continue to say that, it's okay how you're feeling, and to talk about it, and that there are solutions out there. So thank you, Bree, for that. Dr. Karyn, I'd love for you to speak a little bit more about the 4th trimester and what women can do to heal after birth, which even, of course, in best cases, it's all traumatic. Would just love to hear from you about that piece.
When I first heard the term 4th trimester, I thought it was brilliant, right? Because when we talk about the 3 trimesters, we give this false sense that once you deliver the baby, you should be normal again. When in reality, you're still having a lot of hormonal changes. I like what Bree said. It is traumatic, and it's not a way that we think about pregnancy and delivery, but in a 9-month period, it's really 10 months. I don't know who says 9 months. I'm it's not really 9 months, it's 10 months. Your body has so many changes. It's crazy, how your body changes. And, one way that you can support yourself is literally just basically taking care. It's okay to put the baby in the crib and walk away and take a nap, right? Because if you're, I hate to admit it, but probably everybody on the panels have the same experience. You almost fall asleep holding your baby. It's not a good thing. And, as women, we just kind of put up with everything. We probably don't ask for as much help as we should because we feel guilty because we're the mom, we should be doing everything. And just to, reference you again, Brie, I like how you said we need to like drink it in and re-nourish ourselves and just, and although I'm a traditional doctor, I have great respect for Chinese medicine. I think we really don't do as good as we could in treating the whole person, right? It's not like I can't treat you medically if like I don't have you mentally and emotionally. And the thing that really bugs me is we get this class in junior high about like maybe having your period, whatnot, and then that's it. Like we never have a class about like pregnancy and delivery and what to expect. And it always makes me really sad when I walk into a room, a woman's just had a baby, she thinks she's totally abnormal down there, that, nothing can ever get fixed. I probably spend half my day telling women, you're normal, you're a variation of normal. And yet, where do you go to ask? Right? Yeah, I mean, you can't really just Google that per se. And if you ask your friends, your mom, you're totally dependent on how much they really know. So I think it's great we have forums like this, women like you, who like our company, we so just want to empower women to learn more, find out what's normal, and not be afraid to ask. And if you're told that something is normal and you don't feel like it's right, ask someone else. So sorry, that was a long-winded answer your question of, I think just the basics, get rest, get nourished. I mean, if you're breastfeeding, you got to really take, if it's for the first time in your life, watch your nutrition. You just got to do the basics and take care of yourself.
Thank you. Ariane. So I assume everyone has insights on this topic, but would love to hear from you. First-time mothers, as we've all talked about, can be very, very focused on pregnancy and then getting to birth. And then you actually have the baby, as we've all said. And, there's so little information about what you actually need afterwards. Nipple treatments such as your nipple and lip rescue balm should probably be handed out at the hospital. Yet they aren't yet. They should be. Was this something you were very mindful of when you were developing your line?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, you have the baby, and everything's about the baby the day that the baby comes into the world. But what about us, and what about our bodies, and what about this? It takes about 4 to 6 weeks to just start to feel a little bit back to yourself. So who's addressing this 4 to 6 weeks? It's this fourth trimester, but it's monumentally traumatic, not only to your body, but emotionally, right? Because you're giving love and everything you can to a baby, but you're probably in the most need of everything for yourself as well at the same time, while you're trying to get some sleep, not fight with your partner, figure out how to be the perfect mother, which doesn't, necessarily exist, and all these things. And so, the thoughtfulness around product development and just thinking about how can we ease this situation through products and things that just make and help and make you feel better. I like to pride our innovation on allowing a woman, telling women what they need before they know they need it, right? Because nobody asks about this moment after we have the baby, because again, the conversation shifts just to the baby. And so we've actually started to have educational seminars through Hatch and our content platform, Babe, that allow these conversations to happen months before the baby comes so that you can be more prepared, right? And so it's about preparation and asking questions in advance so that things aren't as shocking and crazy the moment that the baby's in your arms. And so fostering this conversation and surfacing both people who've been through it and the questions of first-time moms and new moms who are, scared, nervous, excited, wondering how it's going to be, and facing the pressures of breastfeeding and all that good stuff, just dispelling a lot of the pressure so that you can go into this as calm and cool and excited as possible.
Yeah, great. Dr. Janine, you created your first product, which I wish I had when I had my children, the Rejuvenating Breast Oil, in response to your own postpartum experience with mastitis. What advice do you have to offer new mothers who may be struggling with that and other common postpartum issues?
I think, Dr. Karyn, I just want to mention one thing quickly. It was so beautiful that you were saying, and I think this idea of not having the support postpartum and to know that our bodies look normal, we just don't hear that anywhere. I remember it. I had at a home birth with my daughter and had no idea, what to expect or what herbs even to use afterwards at the time. And I think just offering kind of this camaraderie that all first-time moms, our first-time moms, we have no idea what to expect and everything's different. And we just need to have these beautiful platforms to talk about it and to say, is this, I'm experiencing this and what have you tried, And then I think also to take that in for ourselves and go that doesn't resonate with me, it did for you, but what you're suggesting and what our community is saying is the right thing to do just may not be what works for you. And to kind of honor that inner voice. I think we lose it and we feel like, oh, I better do what has been, sold to me or told by, some doctor or a male doctor, who's never experienced this personally. And I really appreciate what you were saying and how you connect with your patients. And I think for me, after I had my daughter, she's 20 now, and I was a very young mom at 24, and I really was, I felt like with the mastitis, it was just antibiotics. I didn't know where to go to, and it didn't feel right for me. I just felt like it's not right for me. It's not right for my baby. And so that's what, led me to really create something that is, I guess the advice that I would give to other new moms is that to let your body heal and listen to whatever it needs. Our breasts and our uterus are really connected in Chinese medicine. So using the breast oil that I created on your breasts, but also rubbing it on your uterus really allows the system in our body to self-regulate with a little bit of help. We all need a little extra help. But also, Dr. Karyn, I'm really kind of curious about your lube personally, because the libido product that I have is actually put on the neck, because all these channels run from the neck down through the genitals and awaken it. But I think there could be some really beautiful synergy between the two of them.
And I think, and we've all said it too, the education piece. I think now women and people feel more, information is power. And I think, just understanding when you just talk about mastitis, like there's nothing wrong with you, when you have these issues. And I remember feeling that myself, like, what's wrong? Did I do something wrong? And how terrible to put a burden like that on yourself when really you need to educate, people need to be educated as to why something can happen. And those different reasons, so you're already, as women, we take so much on, and then to put a burden like that, what's wrong? How do I fix it? That it's something we did. I think, every one of you has brought up the education piece. And I think, and at Bluemercury, that's one of the things that differentiates us from our other retail partners is our beauty experts are educated, and we're there for advice and education. And I think that is the root of a lot of this. Yeah.
One other thing I just want to mention about breast health and mastitis is that our lungs are right behind our breasts, and when we hold our breath because we're scared of something or we're in pain, nothing can flow. So we need that extra support, whatever it is, whether or not it's a conversation with a friend to get stuff out, or an oil with herbs that have been created for that purpose. There's so much about like allowing our stress to be seen and then be healed that can be so beneficial.
Yeah, that's right. Bree, how did your professional background really inform your decision to start the line?
Yeah, it was really kind of just like perfect alchemy. So my background is in public health and integrative medicine. And at the end of the day, like postpartum health, the postpartum period is like a public health issue. The medical industrial complex just kind of drops off. Like you go in for a 6-week checkup, that's really about the baby. And there's not really any like standardized support for moms. You have to kind of pull from all of these different resources to find, your postnatal acupuncturist, lactation support, a maternal mental health care therapist, if that's something that you need. There's just no real infrastructure around that. And a couple of other ladies have spoken about just kind of treating the whole person post the postpartum period, this balance of taking care of self, taking care of others. It's not like a defined period. It's something that is dynamic and that stays with you and that carries you throughout life. The postpartum period is in a pretty ideal time to learn about that balance between caring for self and caring for others, but it's something that should follow you for the rest of your life. And it's something that affects the entire system. So again, just stressing that it's something that we all really need to focus on, which is why I wanted to create a line and a brand that focuses solely on this often overlooked period. I was mentioning to the panel before we started, you go into like a CVS or a Target and you'll see like lots of like preconception stuff, condoms, and then it just kind of like jumps to menopause. There's no real like acknowledgement in our society of like this very important period. So that's the goal, to get like postpartum so ingrained in our common vocabulary and what we know about ourselves as women and what society like knows about us, so that it's something that is just present. Ebi, it focused on self-care, all of that. And self-care is a term that's been overused like so much now. But the true purpose and true meaning of self-care is to pour into yourself so that you can pour into others from a place of fullness. That's what we're doing. That's what that balance is about. It's not like loving on yourself. I mean, loving on yourself for the sake of loving on yourself is great, but that's not ultimately like what the purpose of it is. It's for everyone around you. And I think with moms, we struggle so much with just like doing something for ourselves. There was a question that we got, I think on IG, a mom was saying like, well, how realistically do I make time for myself? And it's like, you have to just prioritize it. Once you change that like mental perspective, like this is a priority and something I have to do, opportunities will present themselves and you will look for opportunities. And if, the circumstances of your life aren't such that you can implement like an ideal self-care practice, write it down and then implement it little by little until you get to the place where you can look back and see like, wow, what I wrote down is like I'm actually like living it now. We put ourselves on the back burner all the time. And Ebi is really speaking to this inherent need of moms to like mother yourself first and then mother others, like from a place of fullness, mother yourself well first and then mother others well after that.
Bree, I'm sure your customer base is diverse, but do you place any particular importance on representing and serving Black mothers?
So I mean, yes, definitely. And yeah, my customer base is extremely diverse. And like I said before, I wanted Ebi to like speak to our common humanity. Like the postpartum experience is something that everyone goes through, regardless of race, class, any of that. And it's like a common truth that we like just like don't talk about, we like don't acknowledge. Like I feel like it's such an opportunity for connection across those like racial lines, across those like class lines. Like this is something like for our society, really, this is something that we should all be pouring into. It's another reason why I created Ebi, because I want mothers to look at themselves as worthy of investing in, worthy of pouring into. So, with Black motherhood, it's super important to me. Like the first human that scientists know about was a Black woman from Africa, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking like, that's like the mother of us all. And I also think of like the countless Black nannies and nursemaids who, it's like a part of our history here in America. These women, Black mothers have have really carried this country. So yeah, Black motherhood is of the utmost importance to me. When we support Black motherhood, we support all motherhood. It's all interconnected. I don't see any kind of delineation between any of that. So yeah, absolutely. Black motherhood, supporting Black motherhood is very important to me.
I love that. I would love to hear from each of you about where, we talk about, or, I'm sharing my 10 years ago when I had my first child. Where do you see, this, for lack of a better word, segment area? Where do you see this evolving to in 10 years? What is the idyllic? What is the hope? I mean, I think, for myself, I look at I have two boys. I look at my children, and I hope that, themselves and their, partners, that if they choose to have children, you just hope that it's this just, very open conversation that, whether it's the hospital or the doctors or to each other. I would just love to hear from all of you, like, where do you think the future, bring us 10 years from now? What's your hope for yourself, your line, the world, bettering ourselves, supporting each other? Anyone?
I'll start. I hope that we normalize this moment, right? And that people don't feel funny, and that there is a shelf in, in these pharmacies that specifically have solutions to all of these problems, and that men and women and kids don't shun away from the things that are on the bottles because they've been dispelled and they're normal. And I'm hoping that the conversation continues to surface, and that everything from miscarriage to the ailments that you have after a baby, it's okay, and that we feel united. I don't want to sound cheesy, but I really hope that the more we talk about this, the more comfortable women are going to realize that they're not alone. And I'm really hoping, I think we've made a monumental gain in the last couple of years, and I hope it's just the beginning. And then I hope that we all can continue to put out products that we're allowed to put out there and that are celebrated because we're addressing real issues. And I'm really proud to be, to be in your company, everyone. It's just so cool that it's just such an honor to be listening to women and be able to give them things that, we deserve. And I think it's such awesome advice to kind of mother yourself first. I think that's so beautiful. It's kind of like when you're on a plane and you have to put the oxygen mask on first before you take care of your kids. Yeah. And it's so true. I mean, we have to feel full for us to be able to do all the stuff that we're tasked to do.
I would like, well, first of all, echo what you just said, that I think Bluemercury, I think it's great. You're starting this conversation. I think you're definitely opening the doors for all these great products for women. But I want to fill in the gap in those CVS and Target sections, right? I don't want there to be preconception, post-conception. I want there to be a continuum so that we're all addressing the issues that occur all along that timeline, right? Like, I mean, it's pretty amazing. There's 4 of us on this call. The products are all somewhat similar in that it's, the same kind of population of people, and yet they're all for very specific problems, right? And like Dr. Jean, what you said earlier is exactly right. What works for somebody doesn't resonate for other people. So in 10 years, I would like to see products like these available for everybody that, fits everybody's need, and that you're not having I think we're still embarrassed to buy a box of tampons. Why? But you should be able to throw whatever you want onto that conveyor belt at the store and feel empowered that you're buying something for a woman's need. So that's what I see happening. And it's only going to happen because of conversations like this, where we're open and we're normalizing things.
I completely agree. I feel like if we can open up the conversations like we're having now, but I'm like within our own families, within our communities, within, with partners, even like to have, other bodies, men understand like what is going on inside of our body, and not be ashamed to say like, I feel dry, I feel like a little bit itchy, something feels a little bit off, and not have to kind of hide that away, and throw the tampons on the conveyor belt and everything else that we desire, like it's for our own well-being. It's not something hidden that we have to kind of, hope it comes in an unmarked box. Like it's just, and pleasure, all these things that really just support our own desire to feel good? You know, and why is that something that maybe we feel like we don't deserve, or we deserve sometimes, or only if we do this or behave that certain way? It's really, I think we're breaking out, but we still have all these old limits on ourselves. And like the more we can talk about it, and you know, to say like, yeah, my vagina hurts, it's dry, I don't know what to do. What do you know, what could you do? What have you done that works for you? And maybe that doesn't work for me. I feel like I'm so grateful for Bluemercury, and that you are bringing, you know, that you're really creating this platform that we can talk about it. And it just, you know, it hasn't happened. I don't want to look at the past, you know, it just hasn't happened, but like we're opening up in such a huge way. And there's so much room for so many other people to bring forward whatever product, create something else that has worked for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Janine.
Yeah, in the next 10 years, I see us mindfully expanding our line and continuing to meet the needs of women in the postpartum period and beyond. And I would love to see us as women, you know, when Dr. Janine Mahon was speaking about just being in touch with our bodies and what's going on with us, I feel dry, I feel itchy, I feel off, like that is so important. And acknowledging how we feel and what we need in postpartum is kind of in alignment with that. It's extremely important to acknowledge our own needs so that we may better meet the needs of others, our children, but also our partners, our wider communities. So I would like to see women continue to grow in this acknowledgement of self and connect better with each other, and to build up the infrastructure together so that, you know, I mean, my dream would be to have comprehensive postpartum care available to every woman who wants it, regardless of how much money you make. It's just something that we as a society kind of evolved to see as like a need, because when you invest in new mothers and when you invest in that mom and baby connection, like you are investing in the foundation of society. Everything springs from that. And what precedes that is that connection to self, which is what you were talking about, Dr. Mann. So it's just of the utmost importance for us to put ourselves first and acknowledge ourselves and what we need. Because everything kind of springs from that.
And to continue that conversation, because it doesn't end. I mean, the children have different stages, and there's, you know, different, you know, different hormones and feelings that come up later. And to continue the conversation of, you know, like, I feel guilty because I work. I feel guilty because I can't go to I feel and, you know, just, I hope that it continues to open the conversation for moms to talk about this at whatever stage, pre-pregnancy, post-pregnancy, teenage year, you know, because there's no manual, and you know, and you're, as we all know, and we're all learning together. So this has been so inspiring, and I'm so honored that I'm here with all of you. I want to just leave a few minutes. We had some questions that were submitted um, from the audience before the class started. So anyone can feel free to answer this. So what is the one thing you tell me to bring to the hospital that's not already in my go bag? Anyone can take
I'll
that.
answer that as just mom, not even as a doctor. So both Ariane and Dr. Janine, I really wish they would have had really like nipple creams back then, because I, of course, got the mastitis. I, of course, had like the dry, I mean, totally TMI for like a webinar, but I mean, it's like awful. So I literally nursed my first son, I think, for 2 weeks before I got mastitis, and I was done. And then, of course, I felt totally guilty because I didn't do the, 10 years like they're trying to make you do, so I wish that I would have been better prepared, right? It's like they kind of almost force you to breastfeed, but yet they don't really prepare you with any good products to support you if you have a problem with it. So put the nipple cream, breast oil, all that stuff in your bag, because you'll need it right away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. I would add to that. I would bring a little extra bag as well, so you can take things from the hospital with you. So I would just add all the disposable underwear, all the pads, kind of hold that and get it in your bag. So just
The ice pack, yeah, you bring it all. Bring
What happened to the blanket that was on that patient's bed?
I think I would bring ginger tea bags. I would like bring your favorite tea, and ginger especially, because it just keeps things moving. If we can keep everything moving, we don't become as stagnant or irritable or mastitis or cramps. Like it just helps, so much. Thermos of ginger tea or ginger tea bags. Also, your favorite scent, whatever that is. Whatever, when you smell it, you're like, okay, this feels really good. It reminds me of what I love. Like I'm going through something so traumatic and intense, but whatever, I don't know, when you smell your favorite flower or something and it just creates the sense of euphoria and connection with beauty, let's throw that in your bag. And then, maybe a little of the stress relief formula, which I personally, I get nervous with webinars and being on camera. So like, I downed my bottle like right before this, because it was like, okay, I just need to relax, and it eases all the, the tension in the body and is great for anxiety and depression. So that would be my suggestion.
I'd bring the tisane because it supports breast health, or I'm sorry, supports breast or supports milk production. It's full of galactose that support milk production, supports emotional balance and healthy sleep. It tastes amazing. And I also bring the oil because you can use it on your nipples. You can use it on baby once you're cleared to. You can use it on your face for, an oil cleansing, or on your hair for like a light oil mask, just something to make you feel like really good and special and beautiful after giving birth. I use the oil like everywhere. I have it on like every floor of my house. I use it all over my daughter. So that would absolutely be in my go bag for the hospital this time around.
All sounds so wonderful. I feel like I want them all right now.
I know.
I'm not pregnant, or I'm not going through postpartum, but yeah, beautiful.
Another question that was submitted. There are so many maternity lines out there. It's hard to know what I really need. What are your top 5 items you think everyone needs during pregnancy and postpartum?
Ooh, I'll take this one. I'll start with this one. Well, pregnancy and postpartum are very different zones. So from a pregnancy standpoint, I think you want to feel yourself for as long as possible. So typically, you feel like you're going to be cool in your own clothes and you're going to ride your wardrobe. But then usually around month 4 or 5, your button pops. And that's when I definitely recommend a good pair of jeans, so you can feel like you can just get out of the house and wear them 6 times a week. And then it's all about, for me, it's about one-stop shopping, just solutions that are easy. We're busy. Some of us have other kids at home, and a lot of us are working. So what makes things easy? You're not jazzing up as much. So great dresses are just easy to throw on. And then going into 4th trimester, I think really comfortable at home. We just launched a 4th trimester collection of beautiful organic pieces, so that when you have visitors to meet the baby, or you're at home in the middle of the night nursing, you still feel luxurious and clean and soft. And it's a really quiet moment. So pieces that help you feel that way as well, and kind of allow the calming of the moment and the baby to be in your arms and, safely.
Love that. Anyone else?
I still have my Hatch jeans. They're so great. And you're right. It is nice to have something that just like feels good to put on, and they are just so well made. I'm just hanging on to them,
Oh, I love that.
Like a teen day. But yeah, I think easy, comprehensive, straightforward, which is what we created our wellness line to be. All of our products are multi-purpose, multi-benefit. So they're not right for everyone. So find something that speaks to you and works for you. Listen to yourself. And just make sure it's something that you enjoy. If it's a tea, make sure it tastes good and it's like something that you're like excited about using. Yeah.
Anyone else? We have time for maybe one more question. So this focuses more around the postpartum. What are natural calming remedies for postpartum anxiety? I think we've touched on it a little bit, but maybe
Yeah.
a little
I
bit.
think
Someone else taking the baby.
Yeah.
One day, yeah. I just need a nap. That's all I need.
True.
I think from my perspective, so call me for anxiety postpartum, that was the question, right?
Yeah.
I enjoy my Libido Vita oil, which is on the neck. You know, you put it on the neck and rubs down the center, and like I was saying earlier, circulates the whole kind of feel good feeling in our body, where it's just like things become a little clearer and a little brighter, you know. And the main herb in there, Tianmendong, is the translation of the name is like clear connection with heaven during the winter when it's cold. So cold being like we're all kind of stuck and we're frozen, but we really need to like connect with ourselves again. So I start my day every day with that one on. And then I actually, after I brush my teeth, wash my face at night, I put it on too, because I feel like it transitions me into, you know, restful sleep and good dreams, or just letting go of whatever I've been ruminating on all day and stressed out about. And so it really does help with anxiety. And then the stress relief formula, which I know someone's getting today, there's lily bulb in there. And lily bulb has long been known for its antidepressant and anxiety kind of properties. And I think anything that we can do to ease pain, so the stress relief also, you know, because of the turmeric in it, it will kind of help the cramps release and movement happen in our minds, just kind of stop thinking about everything so much to the point it depletes us even more. We need a break from stressing out, you know, and so that we can actually rebuild, and all these other beautiful things that you are offering that really help women take care of themselves.
Right. Good point.
On the Mother's Day theme, what kept me from getting too anxious was my own mom being around. I asked her to join today. I'm not sure if she's logged on or not, but having someone who keeps you calm and can help you with the baby, to me, was one of the best things that helped me to not lose it. So on this Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day to everybody, everyone on the panel. As my boss used to say, doing things like this is God's work, right?
I'm so thankful, as I've said a few times already, just thank you so much for, of course, this masterclass, for partnering with Bluemercury, and just for all of your expertise and advice. I'm excited for the future of where this conversation goes. Maybe I'll have another baby, you know, just, you know. I hope my husband's not on here. Yeah. And thank you for all of our audience for joining us today. So we'll be posting a recording on bluemercury.com. So if you want to watch it again, or you want to recommend it to a friend, and if there are questions that we didn't get to answer, we will certainly get answers to those questions, and we'll post them on our site. And then, of course, lastly, all these amazing products from these amazing brands, you know, please stop by your local Bluemercury or visit bluemercury.com, and you can purchase the amazing products. And for the 2 lucky raffle winners, we will be messaging you separately, and you'll get to enjoy those fabulous products. So ladies, thank you so much. I hope you all have a lovely Mother's Day, and thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. This was incredible. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. Bye.
Bye.